Hello everyone and welcome back to the Beautiful Things Quilt Along. We are at this point on block 4 and I went ahead and pre-cut everything so that I can show you guys how I'm cutting everything based on the cutting guide, and then I also already pre-cut the applique. If you have questions, like basic questions about how to do the applique, or are barely starting with us, I would have you go ahead and just start on block 4, because then you'll be eligible to win some of the giveaways and prizes if you post before this next deadline is December 7th. So if you post your block 4 by December 7th, then you're eligible to win those giveaways and prizes. So let's go ahead and just dive right into it. If you do have the basic questions, though, you can refer back to blocks 1 through 3, the YouTube videos, or the blog posts of the Quilt Along. And then, yeah, let's just get started. Okay, so I am going to be referring to my block 4 instructions. I would recommend printing this out in color so that it's just easier to reference that way. And then I have my cutting guide here that you printed off on block 1. Oops, sorry. Printed off on block 1. And this just tells you, the cutting guide is not so much telling you the dimensions of what you need to cut again, but it is telling you what needs to be reserved for applique versus what we have set apart for the piecing. Okay, so when you cut based off of these block 4 instructions, you do need to be referencing this cutting guide. So first I have my Blizzard shimmer right here, and I need a 33-inch by half width of fabric cut. So I just trimmed off my seam, and then I have a 33-inch by it's about 20.5 inches, and so then I can center my applique on that, and then I'll be trimming it down. So that's going to be my large block applique piece. And then I cut 2 5 1/4 by 3-inch rectangles of the Blizzard shimmer as well. These are going to be the end piecing units on my stitch unit. Okay. And then I have 1 5 1/4 by 8-inch rectangle of one of each of these colors. So I have the pink coral shimmer, the marigold spectrostatic, my star shimmer, my citron wasabi shimmer, and then my Caribbean shimmer, which I substituted that one, which you saw in my block 1. Okay. And then, so that is actually all I'm going to need in terms of my piecing fabrics that I've cut. And then the rest of it is going to be applique. So let me show you guys what fabrics are being cut out of which, because in terms of which fabrics and matching, this is the trickiest one. This is going to be your 9248-CP. That's the SKU number. And I don't actually, I think it's called the Dusty Orchid Spectrostatic, and that's for the main scissor piece. Okay. And this one's really a really similar one, but you can see it's a little bit lighter. And this is going to be the lightest gray that you use. That's going to be the top of my spool. And then this is my gunmetal spectrostatic. It is one of the inside scissor pieces. And these pieces are going to be my graphite shimmer. So I have the top and bottom of my spool and the other piece of the scissor. And then this is like the little eye of my scissor that is going to go like right in the middle right here. Okay. Wasabi shimmer is going to be the top of my tomato. The apple shimmer is my tomato pincushion. And this is my thread color. Sorry, I guess I didn't explain that. The applique thread spool. This is the string on it. Okay. And then I have several noir shimmer pieces. that spell stitch. So these are going to go individually on each of these piecing blocks that we're going to put together. Okay, so that is what I have cut out. If you guys have questions about it, feel free to shoot me an email or DM me on Instagram or whatever works for you. But the first step that I'm going to go down is, and I'm just following these instructions, is I'm going to start by piecing together my stitch blocks. So I'm going to start with one of the 5 1/4 by 3 inch Blizzard Shimmer rectangles, and then I'm going to sew these in color order. So it tells you what color order you need to do it in. It's Caribbean, Wasabi, Citron, Star, Marigold, Spectre Static, and then the pink coral shimmer. So I'm going to do those in order with the blocks that I cut, and then we'll move into the applique. Okay, I went ahead and stitched this together, 1/4 inch seams. So I have my Blizzard Shimmer 5 1/4 by 3 inch piece, and then Caribbean Shimmer, Wasabi, Citron, Star, Marigold, Spectre Static, and then my pink coral shimmer. And you'll notice that the blocks are sewn together on the shorter end. So you're going to have rectangles that are going vertically. Okay, and then I'm going to start taking my applique lettering for this block stitch, and I'm going to go down the block with it. So I'm just going to center each letter in the middle of the block, and then I'm going to go ahead and iron these down. Again, dry iron, high heat settings for 10 to 15 seconds, preferably. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this, and then I'm going to stitch around the edge of each of these applique pieces, either with a buttonhole stitch or a straight stitch, just right close to the edge, and then I will show you the scissors block and what we'll do for that portion of the applique. Okay, I have cut my applique background. This is for like the notions block. I've cut my applique block down to 32.5 by 20.5 inches, okay? And so I'm going to start laying this applique out onto here. I don't have a layout guide. If you purchased a kit for this, then you will have a layout guide that you can place behind this with a light box. And I'm just going to show you guys this really quick. So this is my Caterpillar. I have my light box in here as well, my glow, and then my self-healing cutting mat that comes with it. This is an add-on, the tempered glass top, and I showed you guys this in block 1 or block 2. But it's really nice because I am going to just set this right underneath my cutting mat. And I can iron straight on top of it. I'll just need to make sure that I'm ironing on top of it and not on top of my cutting mat at all. But once I have my applique placed, then I can move this underneath it without disturbing my applique wherever I'm at. So that's really nice. So I'm going to go ahead and arrange this the way that I want to, and then I'm going to hit some of these pieces with an iron with this underneath it so that it won't move any of the applique that I've placed. Okay, now that I have placed all of my applique pieces, I'm going to take this tempered glass mat and I'm just going to super carefully slide it underneath just one section of the applique block. So I'm going to iron this down on high heat with a dry iron, and I'm going to hold it for about 10 to 15 seconds. By the way, if you don't already have one of these tempered glass mats, you can go pick one up on flexifuse.com. They have a promotion going on right now just for for people watching my videos. I'm going to post that in the description, in the video description, and you can get the code to get a discount on any Caterpillar products in their store. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and hit this with an iron, and then I'll show you guys the applique stitching. Okay, so I have now ironed all of these down. I'm going to go applique around these, but I wanted to note a couple of things. If you're using the tempered glass light box top, well, first things first, you don't have to use the Caterpillar light box with the tempered glass add-on. If you already have a light box and you just want the tempered glass add-on, it's available like by itself. So you can go pick it up and then just put it on top of your light box to see. Two other things. You're just going to want to make sure that you don't obviously iron on top of your cutting mat. So you can use the tempered glass on top of the cutting mat, but it's really easy to just like take your iron off and then stick it right on top of your cutting mat. I've almost done it a couple of times, so I will not be held liable for that. So make sure that you have your tempered glass top underneath your applique block before you start hitting it with your iron. The other thing is the tempered glass top, it does add, the glass absorbs some of the heat from your iron, and so you're going to have to iron it longer than you would expect. So I want to say that I held my iron in place for like 20 to 30 seconds at a time instead of 10 to 15 seconds, just to give it extra time to fuse that fusible to the fabric, because some of the glass was absorbing that heat. So follow those tips, and I'm going to go ahead and go applique these down. I'll show you guys what RFL threads colors that I'm using and what stitches I'm using, and then we'll put everything together. Okay, another detail that is super important that I forgot to mention to you guys. These little green tabs. These fit over your Caterpillar tempered glass mat like this. So if you are using this, you need to be using these underneath if you're doing it on top of your cutting mat instead of your ironing board, or else your cutting mat will swell and it will not be a good thing. So you don't want to ruin your cutting mat. Make sure to use these little feet on top of your tempered glass mat. Okay, so jumping into what colors I'm using for my block. I have my RFL. I'm using 50 weight, so 2692. I think that is just their black. So I'm going to be using that for all of the dark gray. The 2610, again, 50 weight. Sorry if it's being weird. And I'm using this for all of the light gray pieces. The 5016, and that's going to be for the top of my tomato pincushion. I'm using the 1103 color for the tomato. Now this is going to be a little bit darker than the actual tomato, but that's the nice thing about color matching, is that it doesn't have to be specific, which you guys already know that. But if I want a specific piece of applique to stand out a little bit more, I can use a darker or slightly lighter thread. Or even if you are wanting to use what you have, sometimes like if you make it so that the color isn't exactly perfect, it will kind of pull out whatever tones are in that thread. So if I want an applique piece, for example, to look more pink, then I might use more of a pink red color on my tomato pincushion. This is kind of like a deeper maroony red. So that's what I'm going to use, the 1103. Feel free to use a different like Aurifil lighter red if you want to. And then I have this beautiful blue color that is 2815. So these are the ones that I'm going to be using for this block. I'm going to go ahead and load one of these and then we'll get started on the applique. Okay, I've loaded my black first, so I'm going to do my dark gray pieces. It really doesn't matter what order you do the applique in my opinion. I generally just iron everything down first, and then I start with whatever I want to. And a lot of times that ends up being my bigger pieces, just so I can knock them out and get them out of the way. The only thing is, I mean, if you're a beginner to applique, you're going to want to see where the edge of the pieces are. So you see right here, I have two pieces that meet up. I'm going to want to start on one side of that because I'm going to want as few threads to the front as possible. So I'm going to start right here. I'm going to go all the way around this piece and back over to the other edge where it meets the other piece. If you are doing these in a particular order, like if you are ironing one piece and then stitching it down, which I would only recommend doing that if you have an actual layout guide, because it will be really difficult to get your piece placement right if you are just putting one piece down and then stitching it down, because then you're going to have to figure out how to lay your other pieces out without eyeballing where they're going to fall on the block. Then you can stitch all the way around it, but it will add more bulk underneath your pieces. So I really recommend just getting everything ironed down and then stitching everything down. So I'm going to start stitching this. I've already talked about this in block 1, but I'm just going to go through it again for those of you who are just joining us. You're not going to want to use your regular foot. You're going to be using, unless you're doing a straight stitch, you're going to be using a wide foot so that you can get that blanket stitch, because you're going to have stitches going from right to left too. So make sure you have this foot on. Also make sure that you have your multi-hole foot, and I really don't know what anything is called. And then I'm going to go ahead and get this done. I'll show you what it looks like before we add it to block 3 and then add our stitch sashing on the side. Okay, I am all done with my applique. I'm going to show you guys. So I did a buttonhole stitch around each of these pieces. I have a little flyaway here. Gotta trim it off. Did a buttonhole stitch around all these pieces. My next and last step is just to sew with a 1/4 inch seam blocks 3 and blocks 4 together. So I'm going to sew this right here together. I'm going to make sure to pin really well. So the way that I like to do it is to pin one pin on each side and then to pin in the middle. And I'm going to make sure that block 3 is on top, because I'm going to be able to see where my flying geese points are and make sure that I'm not cutting off any of those points. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then I'm going to do the same thing and pin from the bottom and the top of the block 3 and 4 unit, and then sew the stitch along the side, and then I'll show you guys the finished thing. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, I have my seams done right here. So all of my flying geese are matching up now. And then I went ahead and did this a 1/4 inch seam all the way down on my stitch block. And so My block 3 and 4 are attached together, and next week will be, let's see, so you have until December 7th until, to finish your block 4 and then attach it to your block 3. If you're done by December 7th and post it on Instagram, tag me. My handle is at Maddie, MADI_Hastings, and you'll automatically get entered to win my next giveaway. And block 5 will be releasing on December 8th on my blog, and then I'll be posting a YouTube video too for that. So go ahead and watch for that. Let me know if you guys have any questions or feedback about these tutorials. I'd love to hear it, and we'll see you next time.